Hey there, and welcome to this video that I've taken from the PT Ninja 101 course. During this training, we're going to go through exactly how you can use PT Distinction to manage your clients. Now, of course, there's lots of different ways of doing this, but inside the 101 course, we take you through a system that we've seen work time and time again, not only to help you grow and develop your business online, but also get great results for your clients. Now, we help our PT Ninja 101 clients set everything up inside PT Distinction. And at the end of it, we show them exactly how they can use that setup with their own clients once they've actually signed up. But during the course, we also show them how to change and adapt stuff. Because of this training will show you not only how to use the alerts, but also how to adapt your systems to work with the alerts inside PT Distinction. So I hope with this training here that we've pulled from the course, it's going to give you some ideas about how you could actually manage your clients inside PT Distinction using this great and powerful software. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you on the other side. Hi there, and welcome to this training. So this one follows on from the last training where we looked at exactly what happens when a client signs up using the systems you've set up for the PT Ninja 101 course. In this training, we're going to look at how you can actually manage your clients inside PT Distinction in terms of looking at their alerts and how you can adapt and adjust things for them. So first of all, before we jump into this, I'm going to split this video up into kind of two areas. And the first part of it is going to be about the actual features that involve for tracking activity and what they all mean. And then the second part, we're actually going to use a method that I think works really well alongside the stuff we have inside the PT Ninja 101 course. Now, of course, you may have changed things, you'll adapt things, you'll have your own way of doing stuff. There may be details that you need to look at that I don't necessarily need to look at with my clients. This here is just to give you an idea of how you can do it. And I can also then show you a practical way of doing it. Now, in that practical way of actually doing this, I'm going to show you two different methods. One that works well if you want to check through every single client, and another method where you may have a lot of clients and you don't necessarily need to go and check every single one of them. And now you can actually work out who are the best clients to go and check first, and maybe clients you don't necessarily have to do much with. So we're going to look at both those different options and the kind of process that you go through. I'm also going to show you as well what you can do if you're running more automated programs. So as part of this checking process, we'll look at what you do if you ran things like lead magnets challenges, the flagship program, and maybe even a membership program as well. And we'll talk about why I'm doing different things in this process to hopefully give you an idea of how you can maybe implement some of these things in your business with your setup as well. First of all, let me just quickly give you a tour around the activity area. So basically what I've done here is I've just logged in straight away as a coach. First of all, you'll see the client activity. So now here's a list of all the activity a client has done. Now, all your clients will be inside here, no matter what system they're on, what service or package they sign up to, all their data will be inside here, and everything they do will also be inside here for you to go and have a look at. Now, when you click on any of these, which we'll do in a second, it will start to open them up and you'll be able to drill those down and see what's actually happening. Now, of course, you might look at this and think, actually, Ash, that's a lot of data. At the moment, I'm only using one test client in here to make it easier to show you, but you can imagine if you have 50, 60 clients, it's going to be a lot of data inside here. So this isn't really the first port of call that you go to when it comes to tracking your clients. This is just giving you an idea of what recent activity has been happening for your clients in here. Now, when it comes to activity, you can actually filter this down to have the unseen, things that you actually flagged up, which we'll talk about shortly, or you can split it down into individual items down here, which is actually really useful for high numbers of clients, which we'll talk about shortly as well. Now, down this side, we have a selection of widgets that are used for different things. And depending on what you want to track for your clients, depending on what widgets you use, of course, you don't have to use all of them if you don't want to. So the first widget at the top is all about program health. We have running okay in green, keep watch in amber, and in red we have action required. I want to explain the differences between all of these. Before I do that though, I'm just going to click on the see all, and it's going to open up the little box here. And you can see this actually gives you a list of all the different clients, in this case only one of them, and what status they're running at. So you can see here they're running okay. It actually states here that we are running scheduled workouts for your clients. And that's the important thing to remember about this tracking here. This is all based on what workouts are scheduled for your clients. Now, in terms of the 101 course and the flagship program that we set up, we've actually got a group set up, if you remember, that actually has something called the end of program workout in it. And that end of program workout was not live and it was scheduled at the last date of the program. So actually, anyone you sign up using our flagship program will always show this, whether they're running scheduled workouts or not. That was just a request from lots of PT Ninjas that wanted to have that feature in there. If you don't run any scheduled programs or have the last workout scheduled like we do inside the course, then inside here, this will say something different. What it'll actually say is keep watch. So running okay basically means a client has a program with workouts that are scheduled in their account. Keep watch means that a client's scheduled program is coming to an end. So 1 week before the scheduled program comes to an end, the client will move from the green to the amber. Keep watch also shows you any clients that have programs added in that are not scheduled. And if you actually click on the keep watch bit, if you had a list of clients in here, it will actually say that. It would say scheduled workouts coming to an end, or it would actually say running unscheduled workouts. So just remind you to keep an eye on it, that you may have to put new workouts in for them in the future. The last one down here is action required. So action required will move a client into there if they have no workouts left. So if you've not added any workouts in at all, they're a new client with no workouts or programs added in, then they will be inside here. If they are running a scheduled program, you've added a scheduled program in, and that scheduled program is finished, so the last day has passed, they'll also go in here, and it will also tell you which one it is. It'll either say in the notes that the client has no scheduled programs, or the client is saying they basically ran out of scheduled programs. That's how all this stuff in here works. If you click on any of these as well, you can actually click on this test client here and it'll take you through to their account. You can also see if any scheduled workouts, the actual expiry date. So this is the last date that that workout has been scheduled in for that client. Now you can click on this to go through the account, or you can right click and open it in a new tab, which is a technique I tend to use quite a lot when working with clients, because it allows me to easily manage each client, then go back to where I left off inside PTD account. Now we'll come inside here and have a look at this in a bit more detail shortly. Below that, we have task completion. So this here gives you an overall percentage of adherence to tasks. Now, task completion is based on scheduled items. So anything that you add to the schedule for a client will be tracked. Anything that is not clicked as complete will be classed as missed. Anything that is clicked in as complete will actually be classed as a completion rate here. So you can see here currently our clients have 91% adherence. This is across all clients inside your program, of which if we hover over that, 9% is missed, 91 is complete. You can also view a breakdown of this as well. So if you click view breakdown, you'll open up the breakdown here and you can see overall there's been 22 tasks set for all your clients. 20 have been complete and 2 haven't. You can then look down here and look at this data that will go through where those workouts or where those habits, or those food diaries or whatever it is, wherever those items have not been checked in. So we can see here that most things are okay. It looks like the food diary is where a client is suffering, and on the habits is where the clients need more help on. So we can see this from a glance that the majority of your clients in this case, in this example, are struggling with habits and food diary. That gives you some interesting data that allows you to have a look at how you can improve your systems and improve the experience for your clients. Now at the top here, and you'll notice this on the other one as well, that we have a drop-down menu where you can filter from all time, past week, past month, and past year. If you're doing check-ins for your client, and let's say we're doing a weekly check-ins like we recommend inside the course, you'd have everything set to past week. However, with information like this, I would recommend maybe every month or so, you come inside here and maybe look over a whole month and over a whole year. And this will give you a good picture of overall how your clients are doing, how your program is actually faring, and see where your weak points are inside that program and how you can improve them to make it better for your clients. Because as we've talked about a lot inside the course, if there are things being missed and clients aren't checking in, if you look at individual clients, it's very easy to go, okay, that's something they're not doing, and we can focus on that. And it's too easy sometimes to focus on the individual client, thinking actually, well, they're to blame here, like they're not doing it. But as coaches, it's our job to take some responsibility and find ways to make sure they do the things they need to do in order to get the result that we're promising them. That's our job as coaches to go and do that. So by having this data here, this allows us to see where we can help them. So looking at individually, yes, it could be the client just not doing it. But if we look at overall patterns and overall pictures like this really tells us where our issues are. So on this one, we can see here that clients aren't filling in forms, food diary they're doing okay on, and habits need some help on. So we know in these areas here, there's things that we can work on. We can add more clarity into the program. We can look at changing the structure slightly. This is really useful data. Now, with this completion breakdown here, you can also view the individual tasks. So if you click on view tasks, it will bring up something like this that says schedule tasks. And you can actually see what the different tasks are down here and the period you want to view it for. So for example, you can view the last week of it. You can choose the type of tasks you want to view, and you can choose whether you want to see all tasks, completed tasks, or just missed tasks. So if you wanted to, I could filter this down and see what my clients have all been struggling this week and the name of clients down here that have been struggling. Or I could do it over the past month, or I can do it over the past year, or over all time. Doesn't really matter. Now, that actual breakdown there that you've seen is actually similar to what you see down here. Now, we also have unseen activity, highest completion, and lowest completion. I'm actually going to come back to unseen activity in a minute, and I'm going to start on the highest completion and lowest completion. So down here, this is a representation of what's actually happening up here. This will tell you a list of your clients that are doing really well in terms of checking in and not doing so well in terms of checking in. So this will be your top 4 clients that are doing really well in highest completion, and your top 4 clients that are doing not so well, as in not clicking in. And you'll see on here the percentage of what they're doing. This allows you to kind of focus your check-ins as well and how you actually might want to go and run those check-ins. And we are going to talk about that in a moment too. If you click see all, it then breaks it down so you can see that client. You can see how many things they've missed. They've done 20 out of 22 things that they should have done by this point in their program. Bear in mind, that's what that means there. As of this time and this date, that's how many things they should have done in their program. That's how many they've done. So they've got a pretty good completion rate. And again, I can filter this down to the best clients, the ones that are doing okay, and the ones that are really low in terms of percentages. I can also decide what order I want to view it in, low to high or high to low, depending on how I want to work with the client. I can also filter it over whatever period of time. Again, for check-ins, we'll probably use the week one because it's just easier to manage. We then have our unseen activity. So unseen activity gives you a list of activity that the client has done that you have not seen. So inside here, we'll see our top 4. And again, we can click see all to break that down and see a list of all the clients. So inside here, you'll see a list of, ideally, a bunch of zeros. So on this side here, this is telling me that this client has done 72 different check-ins or 72 different entries of activities. So that can be a check-in, it could be completed a workout, entered an exercise, it could be done a food diary entry or something like that. So 72 things have been done since I've last checked that client. When I check a client, which I'll show you shortly, you'll actually mark this down to 0. And the aim of the game is to try and get all the clients in your list down to 0 at each check-in. And this is why the process you have for your check-ins is extremely important. If you don't have the systems and processes for your check-ins, it's going to be very difficult to manage this. And I'm going to talk through a process to help do check-ins in just a moment. And when you click on this, it will take you through to your client's account. And of course, you can right-click and move through to your client's account as well. When we come down here then to the bottom, we have our last widget, which is our workout widget. So this tells you exactly what your clients have been up to in terms of workouts. Again, this is to do with scheduled workouts and workouts that have been completed. Inside here, you can filter it from the week, month, year, or all time. Again, this gives you some interesting data. If I was to click all time, you can see on here which days my clients are struggling on and which ones aren't. So you'll be able to find overall patterns. So you might be thinking, well, why is my workout activity that important when it comes to seeing what days and stuff they're running on for all my clients? Well, one of the things we've talked about a lot inside this course is targeting your clients and picking who you kind of want to work with. Yes, you might you might have different clients that you want to work with from time to time, but the chances are you're going to focus down the niche. So your niche, even though your clients are going to have different things in their lives going off that affect stuff, because it's niche down well, there's going to be similarities between them. And one thing you might notice is patterns in their workout availability. So if you look at that and notice that, say, every Saturday, Sunday, your general clients, and most of them are just not getting workouts on a weekend, that gives you some good data. So when you're looking at improving your program in the future, you can think, actually, why should I make it difficult for my clients? I could probably improve client adherence by making sure that I schedule workouts on weekdays and not on weekends. So again, we don't have to do all this straight away, but this data is extremely useful to improving your services. So a lot of this information on the main dashboard here is just to give you an overview of what's going on for your clients. It's also particularly useful as well if you're going to run things like a Facebook group alongside it. I mean, how much cooler would it be if you're inside a Facebook group, you've done your weekly check-ins, and everyone's all checked off, and you go inside the group saying, hey guys, it's been an absolutely incredible week this week. Overall, we have 91% compliance from everybody inside the group today. Give yourself all a pat on the back. That's a really cool motivating thing because it brings everyone together as a team, really builds up that community. And this data is going to help you actually do that and put those things across. So lots of cool things you can do with this. Now, when it comes to all this data managed on here, you can also manage this data inside groups as well. So for example, if you have a challenge set up and you have a lead magnet set up and you have your flagship program set up, all this information inside here is all well and good, but realistically, you probably only want to focus on clients that are doing your main flagship offer or your main membership, and not particularly looking at clients that are doing your challenges, for example, or for your lead magnets. So in that case, what you can do is go and look at specific groups for it. So because we've organized all our groups together, we know anyone in our flagship program is going to be in our flagship welcome group. So we can actually just type in our 3.0 and click on our flagship welcome group. This will actually open up a dashboard that's very similar to it. And we can see inside here the overall completion of tasks of clients that are in this group. So remember, this here is data from clients that are part of this group. This is not overall completion of the individual tasks in the group, the overall completion of the clients in this group. Now, because all clients I have at the moment are actually all inside this group, we know that all our clients on the flagship program are doing 91% completion. Again, we can have a list of clients inside this group, highest completed, clients inside this group, lowest completed, and then again, work out activity for that particular group as well. So this just allows you to focus down what clients you want to work with and not necessarily go through check-ins, not necessarily go through like the highest completion rates for, say, clients that run your lead magnet. It just gives you better data and helps you focus where you need to work on with your particular clients. So whether you manage your clients from here or whether you manage your clients from your main dashboard is entirely up to you. It will very much depend on the type of approach you want to do. If you're running challenges and you do want to engage with your clients in those challenges, then you can do it from the dashboard. Same for your lead magnets as well. You can go and do that. Let's just head back over here. So for this example, I'm actually going to manage it from the dashboard. If you are running a lead magnet though, like I say, I'd probably recommend running it from the group instead, but the process is going to be the same. Again, it just depends on what type of setup you actually want to go for. If you are running lots of lead magnets and lots of challenges, and you just want to focus on doing check-ins with your particular clients who are on a program, then you can use the groups to help manage that. So hopefully that makes sense so far. So now we've looked at what these different things are in here and kind of what each one of them means. Let's have a look at the different options that we can do in terms of managing our clients. The first thing you want to do with check-ins is block time. I can't stress how important this is. One of the worst things you can do as a coach online is do check-ins every single day. You don't want to be logging into PT Distinction every single day to manage your clients in this particular way. There are times you can log into PTD. You might want to check messages, for example. And again, I look at recommending that. We've talked about messages a little bit already inside the 101 course. And you can have the app, you can log in with your trainer login, and you can have messages inside there. I'm not a massive fan of that. It's not too bad with a small number of clients, but I promise you, when you start getting into the hundreds, and if you have two-way messaging on, it's going to be a pain because you're going to constantly get messages through. You can have clients all over the world. You're never going to be able to switch off. And as we've talked about already, when it comes to running a business, you run a business in order to support the lifestyle that you want. And the chances are, I don't think you want to be spending your entire waking life constantly replying back to messages to clients, which is why we manage those expectations in the first place in our welcome groups. And we include how they should use the in-app messages. So one of the things I actually like doing is not logging into those messages on my app, is actually manage them inside PTD. Now, whether you want to actually do this daily or every couple of days is entirely up to you. But I would really consider only having your messages inside here so you can log in and then you can actually go and look at the messages from your clients, filter down to clients here. And if you've got messages inside here that are say unread, you can go through them. And if you need to action them, it's very quick for you to look inside their account and see how you can action them and actually help them. It allows you to batch that time better, have more control over it. And it also allows you to set those expectations for your clients. If you can give them a time and a reasonable response time to something, it's going to be a lot easier for you and a lot easier for them. They're not going to be sat around waiting for a response all the time. They're not going to be expecting you to reply back straight away. This again all comes down to managing expectations and making sure you spend your time more focused on things that are important to your business and also helping your clients as well. So talking about this message center inside here, like I said, we want to be blocking time completely. So personally, I tend to like to do these at a weekend. We will have noticed already that the weekly review is set to start on a Saturday. That group goes in on a Saturday, and the first document to see is how to complete their check-ins. The following day on the Sunday is where their check-in form is. That's actually done on purpose. Again, you can change this to whatever you want it to be, whatever suits you. But for the most part, for the data, we tend to see most trainers ideally want to work weekdays and try and have the weekends off with their family. This is just the majority of trainers that we've worked with in PTD Ninja. Of course, you can change this. It may be different for you as well. So what we've done is we've set it up so this always falls on the weekend. The client will complete on the Sunday, where they're also more likely to have a bit more time for them to actually complete it, recap the week. It seems quite logical as well. It's much easier to recap a week from a Sunday than what it is to say on a Wednesday for the majority of your clients. Again, that's just from the data we've seen. So one, it makes it better for you, and two, it makes it better for your clients. And the big reason it makes it better for you is that you probably don't want to work at the weekends, and they complete it on the Sunday. That means on the Monday, you can actually go through and do the check-ins with your clients and respond back to them. Happy days all around, makes it more logical for your clients. So that's the reasoning behind why we have that weekly check-in form there. And I'm going to talk about how these check-in forms work and how they're actually quite useful when it comes to running check-ins and managing your clients. Now, before we get into that, once you've actually blocked your time off, I want to talk about the two approaches you can have here. And this all comes down to the number of clients that you work with and also the approach you want to take. Sometimes when working with clients, when we work with trainers, sometimes the trainers we work with want to check on every single client. Perfect, that's fine. But some clients only really want to, some trainers we work with, sorry, only really want to check in with clients that actually desperately need their help. And the best way to do that is to actually use the in-app messenger. So you might have been thinking, actually, well, in that case, surely coming down here to lowest completion is where most of the help's needed. Well, this stuff is important and you should still use this. I'm going to talk about using this in a moment as well. I would use a mix of this and in-app messages. And the reason in-app messages are important is because it's not just about whether the client needs help, it's whether the client recognizes they need help as well. If, for example, the client, if you look at this and think, actually, this data here is saying these clients are checking in all the time, but they might still need help. So you might just go to the ones with lowest completion, follow up with them, forgetting these ones inside here because you haven't really got time to check them all. And you might miss out on some important things. By using the message center and using the in-app messages that we set up in the weekly review group, it allows the client to also decide whether they need help or not. And the way that works is using this in-app messenger here. So if we go to our clients, you can see we have our little check-in here that's gone through. And down here, we have our check-in score. And our clients will normally go through scoring a 1, a 2, or a 3. Now, if they go for a 3, they're doing really well. If they go for a 2, they're kind of in the middle and they're struggling. If they go for 1, they desperately need help. So what ideally, obviously, I'm going to reply here as a coach, but they would reply back. They will put their number inside here. And then when you're going through this, you can come onto here, you can go into your unread or into your clients, it's up to you, and then just basically scroll through. And every time you see a 1 or a 2, you can then decide that you need to go and look at that in a bit more detail. If you see a 3, the client's probably doing okay. And the only thing you really need to go and then look at is kind of how well their adherence is. And if this client is saying 3 and they're if they say a 3 on there and you come down here and they're in this highest completion, they're doing well, the chances are you probably don't need to go and check in them too much unless you've got to tweak workouts or anything like that. It all depends again on the type of program you want to deliver. Not everybody needs to have stuff tweaked all the time. They want to do maybe some more automated type stuff. So that would suit that approach really well. High numbers, a high level of automation with tweaks when clients actually need it to be tweaked. And using that method will allow you to decide on what clients you're going to focus on and really speed up that check-in time. Now, when it comes to doing check-ins after that, or whether it comes to doing check-ins for everybody, the approach is very, very similar. Now, before I actually go on to the approach that I'll do if you're going to check in with everybody, I want to talk about the check-in forms. So inside those weekly check-ins that we set up, we had these check-in forms and each one is labeled for each week. So one thing you could do, especially if you're using this system here where you're picking up the number, is when you actually go to the client's account, you can see what week they're in and just go and look at their check-in form to see where they feel they're actually struggling at. Now, if you want to go and look at check-in forms straight away to make it nice and easy without searching them in there, you can actually filter this down to forms and questionnaires, and it'll bring up all the forms that have been completed. So you can see inside here, week 1 check-in, you might have other clients in there that are on week 2 and week 3. You can see exactly where they are. So when you click on that, it will allow you then to actually look at that form and review, quickly see it, and give some information about how the client's doing. And then from there, you can decide on what you do next, what you need to do inside that client's account, whether you need to go and change anything or adapt anything. Everything's just previewed there, and all that information is all in one place. If you then need to go to that client's account, all you need to do is go in the global search here, search for the client, and it will take you straight to their account to make any changes you need to do. So that system between the messaging and these forms can work pretty well. We'll try and find out where they are. The other useful thing about these weekly check-in forms here is it lets you know, like I've said, what week they're in. So you kind of know what they're focusing on. So if they've done their weekly check-in form, if you're following the blueprint inside the one-on-one course, or if you've changed it and used the workbook that we asked you to complete when you're changing your content around, if you've done that, that means you know exactly what they're primarily working on. So for example, here, if this client is in week 1, we know that the majority of the stuff they're doing is going to be around their food diary. So we know what we need to go and check. So by having these systems in place, having a blueprint in place for your programs that you're delivering, and also working with a niche as well, this allows you to very quickly start to understand what a client is working on, what you need to be focused on. This works really well with those high number of clients. We talked about blocking time. We talked about like using these filters and these in-app messages along with these forms to help manage maybe high number of clients. But what if you want to check every single client? What kind of process could you go through? So of course, there's a number of different ways of doing this, and you are going to have to adapt this to your type of business and your approach. But let's just give an example of a process I might go through. So I've logged in on my dashboard. Going to give it a little refresh. So inside here, the first thing I'm probably going to look at is completion. So down here, we have highest completion and lowest completion. I'm just going to click seal. It doesn't really matter which one I go to. And I would normally start with my clients that are struggling the most inside here with lowest completion, and I'd work my way through them. But for now, though, I've only got one client in here, which I can see. And once I've done that, I know I'm going to work on, I would right click and I'd open it in a new tab. That means it allows me to work in this tab here. On this side over here, I've still got my list of the clients I've actually worked on. So inside here now, I can see we have all this activity that's set up. Now, if we actually look over here, you can see, if I just close this off, that that client is also then has got 71 things I've not seen yet. So let's just remember that over here. I want to show you what happens when I come off of this. So I'm just going to go and open this back up. So we're inside here now. At the moment, I can see at the top that my client is running a scheduled program. So I know my programs aren't coming then, so that's okay. At least they've got programs they're working on. I can see down here, task completion is pretty good. And down here, I can see they've got some scheduled tasks. It looks like Wednesday they've done some tasks, and Friday they've actually missed all the tasks. Looking at this, that's on Friday. So over here, I can get a good idea of what tasks they've actually missed. I can see workout-wise, they're actually pretty good. They've got full adherence on their workouts, as you can see here. And habit-wise, have a look inside here. Okay, it looks like they've missed some on the overall. And I can see here they missed some on Wednesday. So very quickly, without doing anything, without looking inside it, I've known they've got really good adherence. They're struggling to check in on something on a Friday. Down here, they've got workouts. Completion is really good. And down here, they struggled to check in on a particular, well, they didn't check in. They just said they skipped a particular habit down here on the Wednesday. So I can kind of see all that in one glance. So at this point, then I can start looking at the different things I want to do for this particular client. So what I probably look at first is, okay, what things have they actually missed? So I can click on view missed tasks. And inside here, it'll give me a list of different things they've missed. So they've missed the habit and they've missed the food diary inside here. That's all in the past week. Now, as I come further down here, I can then go to message and say, right, I want to send the message saying, why have you actually missed on these? Could you go and complete this? Or I don't have to do anything with it. It's entirely up to you. Again, it depends on how you want to approach it. If you want 100% adherence, then follow up with them. If you're okay with them missing one or two things, that's fine as well. Again, your approach is obviously your approach. But once I've actually started doing that, because I know what those missed activities are now, I can start looking at them. So let's go and take a look at this habit first, and let's see what their overall habits are like. So I can go and view my habit report down here and get an overview. Okay, there's 6 to 7% on the habits, but there's only 3 days of habits been set for them inside here. And if I come up here, I can look at their workouts. They're looking really good on workouts. I can view the report if I want to, but I can see here they're really checking in fine on workouts. If they were struggling on particular workouts, I can filter it down and see, okay, what actual workout are they struggling on and break it down from there if I want to. Again, that's really useful because it means that when you go into their account in the second that they're set up, it focuses you down to that workout and you can look at, okay, why are they missing that? Now, they've only been doing these workouts for a week at the moment because we know they're in week 1. If you remember, we talked about the week 1 check-in form up here. You can see at the top. One thing I didn't actually mention there, if you do go into a client and you want to see what week they're in, again, you can filter this down to their forms. So again, just look for what their latest form check-in is, week 1 in this case. So this is telling me a lot of information alongside these widgets. It makes it really easy for me to see at a glance what's actually going on. So from there, I can actually break this down a little bit further. I can look at any of these items. I can look at their check-in form from here, see how they're actually getting on, and then that could then tell me what I need to go and focus on next, what changes and stuff I might need to make for them. If they've done any workouts and things like that, I could go and look at their workouts inside here and their programs. And if I'm going through this, say the full body workout, I want to see how well they've done. I want to view the full report on that one like I've done already. Or then I want to go and look at, if I look at this one here, which recorded 13 results for full body, I can actually start breaking that down and see how well they actually did, see if they left me any notes or anything like that that I need to go and have a look at. And then from there, I can start making changes. Now, if they've left a note on here or I feel like it's something I need to come back and look at, whether that's look back at doing this check-in or whether that's something that I want to remember to look at next week. So maybe something's happened inside here. I'm thinking, actually, I'm going to send them a message in a minute, tell them to work on this, but I want to remember this for next week. So if it's something I want to remember for the following week, what I'd actually do is click on this and I'd actually mark that as follow-up, just like so. I can then start looking through the other things inside here, so maybe any habits they've done, maybe any food diary entries they've done, and again, just start looking at each one of these, breaking them down to see what's happening. Again, it all depends on what week they're on in the program or what kind of stuff you've got set up, but from there, that's how you can start filtering things down to see what it is you need to do. And during all this as well, you can obviously send a message to the client and follow up with them. Then what I'll do is I'll actually go to my flagged, especially if they've gone past week one. This will bring up anything that I wanted to remember from the previous week. So I can see inside here, I need to check back at this. Have they improved on that or whatever it is you flagged it up for? Then once you're happy with that, you can actually just click this dot here and just click unflag all. So you don't have to use that, but that's just a way of actually reminding you to check something that you picked up last week and you want to make sure they've improved on it. Just makes it easy for you to remember what it is you actually need to check up on. And if you've got high numbers of clients, it makes it a lot easier than just trying to remember and take notes. It's all just entirely there for you in one place. Now, of course, at this point, if you want to go, you can start changing things. We can go over to the schedule inside here and we can see what week they're on now. We can actually see in the schedule that they're actually in week 2. They did their check-in to go back last Sunday. I'm obviously a bit late doing my check-ins at the moment because it's now Friday, and they've got another check-in coming up here at the moment. And also for this particular program, you'll notice that we've also made some tweaks and changes like we talked about in the previous one. We added a habit in over here because it was eaten a bit too quickly. And we also had a scheduled workout we added in as well instead of the standard one we do with it. We can see what's coming up for the rest of the week. We know the only thing they've really been struggling with at the moment is just something they've missed on their schedule, and we can see here that thing they've missed. So we might want to drop them a message back and say, can you just go and complete that form inside here. But overall, this client is doing pretty well, and they're kind of on track with things, which I'm kind of happy with from there. If I then want to go and change anything workout-wise, I can go inside here and I can edit and change those workout programs. I also may have gone for the food diary, looked at it and think actually that client is struggling with things such as okay, they're struggling to get protein into their meals. Well, at the moment, I'm getting to focus on this habit inside here that I've added in. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to go and add in another habit for them a bit later on once this one is finished. So I can see here that my current habit that I'm working on is going to finish on the 9th of August. So all I'm going to do now is just go to my groups at the top. I'm going to go and add in another habit for them. So I'm going to get them to focus on protein with every meal and add that in for the 9th of August. So obviously this is kind of hopefully making sense in terms of how you can use that last video in terms of how your system works with your clients. Now you can mix that with these kind of check-ins to help manage your clients inside here. So there you go. I've gone in there. I've made a couple of changes that I need to make. And then I can go back over to my client activity. Now, once I've done that with my client activity, what I will then do is hit my 3 dots here. And I'm just going to click here as mark all as seen. Let's mark them all as seen. Then what I can do is I can head back to my dashboard. Now I'm back in my dashboard. Let's look at what's happened. Now everything else stayed the same. These have actually changed color. And if I hit the drop down menu here and click unseen, you'll actually see it's no longer unseen. And also if I click on flagged, you'll also see the old, I've only got the old one left inside here. That's just reminding me that I need to go and check it up on something in the future. If you remember, I still flagged it, even though it's unseen, it will still be flagged up. So when I want to check on that next week, even though I've marked it as seen, it will still be there. So just bear that in mind. Flagging is different to marking something as unseen. Now from down here, though, you'll notice the unseen activity. So that test client now has nothing. So that's told me that I've checked everything for that client. So once I've actually gone through these things inside here for my client and checked each one of them, make sure I'm happy with them all, what I can then do is I just go and click on unseen activity. I'm just going to make sure that everyone inside here has a 0 on it, or everyone that I want them to have a 0 on it. And this is again why these groups are really quite important, because it gives you an idea of when it comes to managing your clients for the groups, which ones are actually important unseen activity. So for example, if people are checking in on, say, a challenge that you don't really do anything with, or maybe your lead magnet, you're going to have some clients on there that have unseen activity. But by managing it through the group means you know that any unseen activity left inside here is only going to be for stuff that you don't need to check in upon. So as long as you're comfortable and happy that all the unseen activity left inside here, if there is any, is only for things like your lead magnet, for example, then what I would do next is go up here to the top, and I'll then click mark as seen again on the dashboard. And this will mark all activity for all clients in your account as unseen. And down here, all these will go down to 0. And basically what you've done now is reset your check-in for the following week. So now you know that from this point onwards, since you've hit that button, everything in there will be new. And that means when you batch your check-ins the following week, you'll know what you need to go and work on for your clients. And that's again why it's important to kind of batch these check-ins and manage them this way, so you can see exactly where you're at all the time. Now, there's another thing that I would do as well at this point. Inside your programs, when you're going through it, one of the things we do, especially with our flagship program, is set calorie targets for them. Now, of course, you can go inside each account and set calorie targets for that client at any point you want to, depending how you've got your program set up. But what we've actually done in our groups, as we mentioned in the setup, that we have the calorie targets scheduled to your account, so scheduled to your calendar in your trainer account. So once I've actually done my check-ins here, I then do a bit of what I call housekeeping at the very end. So the first thing I do is go up here to the top and I go to my calendar. And all I'm doing is looking inside here to see is there anything that I've added in for my clients to my calendar. So this would maybe things like the calorie counter, the calorie targets. But you could also add other things in as well. Maybe you're doing workouts in person and you added some of their workouts to this. It's just a way of seeing, have I got anything coming up this week or in the following week for my clients that I need to action? So for example, if I go through this and I see, I'll find on here somewhere, calorie targets here for a client, I can click on that and think, actually, I need to go and set a calorie target for my test client. So all I'd then do is just go and type in here, test client, go into their account, and then knowing that I've got to go and do it in the coaching area, I'd go and set the calorie targets for that particular client, just like we did in the previous training beforehand. I can then go and save that in there. Once I've gone through my calendar stuff there and that's all done, my last bit of housekeeping would probably be the program health in here. Now, you don't always have to do this. This all comes down to how you actually run your programs again. So for example, you may have workouts that are running inside here on the challenge. You may have a membership program that's fully automated. And if that's the case, you want to make sure that there's nothing in action required, because if you've got these kind of automated programs running, if you set it up the way we have inside the course, it should tell you whether something is worth keeping watch on or it's running okay. Ideally, there shouldn't be anything in action required unless there are people that signed up into like without programs or anything like that. So what I tend to do is have a look inside here and just get an overview of what my clients are up to. I go and look at action required and just make sure there's no actual clients inside there that I've missed, and go into keep watch again, making sure there's no actual clients inside there I've missed. You don't particularly need to go and do that because the unseen activity in that process we've gone through already should help with that. But to me, I just think it's a good idea just to have a quick look and just get an overview of where they're at, because you don't really want to run out of workouts for them to actually complete. And that's it. Again, I only read that workout thing if it was on automated stuff, but that's basically how I would run a check-in. So I know I spent a bit of time going through that. It's quite a long training this with quite a bit of detail in it. But the check-ins do actually work out pretty quick when you run it this way. And again, for an example, just to show you exactly how I would do that in real time, is I come inside here, see all, find my client, right click, open a new tab, go into the client's account, look at whatever they need to do, doing the overall things here, make any changes that I need to change, flag up anything that I want to review next week, just to remind me to go and do it. I'd go on here and check that anything I've got to review for the previous week is in there as well. Once I've done that, I would go mark all as seen, and then I'd head back over to here, and then I go on to my next client and keep moving on, so on and so on and so on, and adding any details and changing things as I need to for that particular client. Once I've done that, I'd check my unseen activity to make sure there's nothing left to work on. Once I'm happy, I'd go onto here, I'd mark all as seen. Then I'd go and check my calendar inside here to make sure there's nothing I've added to my calendar for the week ahead for my particular clients that I need to do, such as calorie targets. And then once I've done that, I'll maybe just do a double check my program health, only if there's something in action required. So I'll just check on action required to make sure there's nothing inside there I need to action, if there's any numbers left in there, and keep watch again. I'll have a quick run through this to make sure there's nothing I need to do. And then that's it. That's my checking complete for that week. And I'll do the rest following week and so on. Anyway, I hope that all makes sense. Any questions, please do let us know, and I'll see you at the next training.